So I'm in the middle of playing what I have really come to like quite a bit, and that game is Putin Moves South. I'm in the middle of playing it. I plan to continue playing it at least for a bit longer, get a better feel for its particular design style. But this game, I just acquired this. Very, very happy, in fact, to have this classic. I think I can call it this. This classic game in my collection. Of course, it is Red Dragon Rising. Strategy and Tactics number 250. So this is the Coming War with China, game designed by Bruce Costello. Let's see, it's a late 2000s design, and while I would like to talk about actual play, haven't played it yet obviously, otherwise I would be talking about that, but I did want to just talk about a few points that come to mind in the early scanning of this. Basically, it looks like the heart of the game, the heart of the design, which has got to be fairly unique, is a list, a menu of about 20 or so actions/operations, which is interesting. Did Putin Move South? Did that? Well, is Putin Move South distantly related to this game in this sense of having a significant number of unique game action/game operations? So this game uses that. So that is definitely one of the pillars of this design, it looks like. Then you have random events. This is a pretty hefty menu. Well, I'll still call it a menu. You're obviously rolling for these random events, but yeah, it's a pretty hefty menu of random events that I think have a fundamental impact on the game. Not I don't want to say incidental, but not minor alterations to the game, but substantial impact on the game. Let's see, so random events definitely seem to be a pillar, and then you have the, wait, was there another one? It's those two, and, well, the Korean War resolution, I guess, was the third one that I was thinking of, but so point, randomness, very random. So of this core game design, obviously what comes to mind is a substantial amount of randomness. I do not at all know, and I wouldn't even hazard a guess. I wouldn't even I wouldn't say anything about what the impact of that is on gameplay in this particular design, but it does raise the question again of how much randomness is ideal in war games, and how much is too much. How much randomness is too much? Now the first question is, does it really matter what scale and scope you're talking about? More or less randomness, the higher scale and scope. The designer calls this a strategic game with operational undertones. I still call this an operational game, using the military term. But in any case, it is above tactical. It's above tactical level. Yeah. Again, I would say operational, but so let's just say at operational level like this, is the degree of randomness more or less appropriate as compared to a tactical or even lower tactical game design. I'm not sure. I'm still working through that myself, how much I like, don't like. I haven't really found so much randomness in one game that it's that it was a that it was decisive for me in my interest. Okay, so the map design, it's kind of unique. China and North Korea are in bright, solid red. They call those Chinese-controlled land areas. Then you have a bunch of land areas that are green, like a forest green. That includes Vietnam, Malaysia, Sumatra, Borneo, Celebes, other parts of Philippines, or other parts of Indonesia. Then we have Philippines, Okinawa, South Korea, Japan. So these are all called allied and neutral land areas. And then we have, Russia is a yellow. I'm not sure what the design idea was there, but there's one Russia land area to the far north of the map. And then you have your sea zones. So what's unique about it? So one is the stark colors. Doesn't really bother me. Then you have the lines, the dividing lines between sea zones for sure. They have a heavy shadow to them. I certainly am not going to say I don't like it. I think I actually kind of like it. I think you would want to do something more than just have lines in a contrasting color. I think you'd want to do... Oh, I'm sorry, not a shadow. You could do a shadow. This is even more stark. This is a glow. I should not have said shadow. Shadow would have been a somewhat less stark way to do it. But I do need and appreciate some type of bolding of these dividing lines. Not a big point though, but something else I will note anyways. But yeah, so the point here is the map design and colors are unique for sure, but I really don't think they're going to be too distracting in play. I think that it'll all just fade to the background. That is my prediction for myself. Point, heavy ground units. Noticed in the rules, heavy ground units may only go to sea in or loaded in friendly amphibious transport units, which obviously implies if you run out of your amphibious transport units, your heavy ground units become static combat units, because of obviously the way the land and sea is broken up here, compartmentalized in this area. So you do have light ground units, and those units can go to sea easily because you flip the unit over, the counter over to show them at sea. That's supposed to represent, which makes sense to me, it represents fleets of smaller transport ships that aren't represented by separate units here in the game. That makes sense to me, not an issue. Again, I don't know how that's going to play in play. But more to the point, I was wondering, I was wondering how best to portray the role and the utility of ground units, and especially heavy ground units. So I'll call that really anything mechanized infantry and higher. How to model their utility again and their role in a theater like this, a theater of war like this, that has so many water areas, water boundaries, and so forth.